The first time Maya saw Elara, she thought she was a ghost. Not a literal one, but a figure from a faded photograph, stepped out of time and into the golden haze of a Saturday farmer's market. She was standing at the heirloom tomato stall, her silver hair a cloud around a face etched with laugh lines and quiet intensity, holding a misshapen purple tomato with the reverence of a gemologist. Maya's father, Robert, was too busy debating the merits of wildflower honey to notice his daughter's stillness. He hadn't stopped talking about this market since Maya arrived back in her sleepy hometown, a place she'd fled a decade ago with a sociology degree and a broken heart. She'd returned, tail metaphorically between her legs, her life in the city having crumbled like stale bread. "The key is the basil," Robert boomed, finally steering Maya towards the herb stand. "Ah. And here's the basil queen herself. Maya, this is Elara. She grows the only basil worth eating, in 3 counties." Elara looked up. Her eyes were the color of a forest floor, deep and mossy green, and they held Maya's with an unsettling directness. A smile touched her lips, not broad, but warm, like a light switched on in a distant room. "Robert. Still exaggerating, I see." Her voice was low, textured like well-worn velvet. Her gaze shifted back to Maya. "You must be Maya. The one who got away." Maya's breath hitched. "The what?" "From this town. Robert talks about you, the brilliant, restless daughter." She handed Maya a sprig of basil. The scent, pungent and sweet, exploded in the space between them. "Smell that. That's the smell of home, whether you like it or not." That was the beginning. The inadvertent start. Robert, widowed and lonely, had found a companionable friendship with Elara, who lived in the old Barton house on the edge of the woods. They shared a love of gardening, bad 70s rock, and the crossword. To Robert, Elara was simply a wonderful, interesting friend. To Maya, she was an earthquake. Over the weeks, drawn by a force she refused to name, Maya found reasons to visit Elara alone. She offered to help with the sprawling, chaotic garden that was Elara's life's work. They knelt in the dirt, shoulders almost touching, transplanting seedlings. Elara spoke of plants as people: the stubborn rosemary, the flirtatious snapdragon, the melancholy willow by the pond. "It's a legacy project," Elara said one afternoon, wiping sweat from her brow with a dirt-smudged arm. The sun caught the silver in her hair, turning it to mercury. "My first husband, Daniel, he bought this land. We were going to build a dynasty of dahlias." Daniel. Maya's blood ran cold. Her Daniel. Her father. The pieces, which had been hovering disjointedly in her mind, slammed together with terrifying finality. Elara wasn't just a kind, intriguing older woman. She was the wife from before her mother. The first wife, the one her father never spoke of, the vanished chapter of his life, mentioned only once by a drunken uncle as the great, tragic love affair that didn't survive the Peace Corps. "Daniel?" Maya whispered, her trowel falling into the soft earth. Elara's eyes widened, then softened with a profound understanding. "Oh, my dear. Robert is your..." "Of course." "The timeline. I should have realized." She didn't look shocked. She looked resigned, as if she'd been waiting for this particular storm. "You're my father's Elara," Maya stated, the words tasting of rust. "I was. A lifetime ago. We were children, really. Burning with ideals and a love that couldn't sustain the people we became." She reached out, her hand hovering over Maya's muddy one, before pulling back. "He's a good man, your father. We found a better rhythm as friends, years later, after the ashes settled." The knowledge should have been a stop sign. It was, instead, a forbidden map. Maya started digging, not in the garden, but in the past. She found traces of Elara everywhere, in the town's historical society records. Elara Vance, activist, instrumental in founding the local women's shelter, in the vibrant murals downtown, painted by her in the 80s, in the fierce independence of the land she tended. This was no ghost. This was a force of nature her father had loved and lost, a woman who had built a life of substance and art from the ruins of that early marriage. The attraction, now laced with the illicit thrill of the forbidden, became a living thing between them. It was in the prolonged passing of a watering can, in the silent appreciation of the other's form as they stretched aching backs, in the conversations that stretched long after the gardening was done. They talked about everything: art, feminism, regret, hope, everything except the one towering subject that connected them. Until the day of the storm. The sky turned a sickly green, and Maya was at Elara's, helping secure tarps over the most delicate seedlings. The wind howled, and as a branch crashed near the porch, Maya instinctively pulled Elara into the shelter of the greenhouse. The world outside was a fury of noise and motion. Inside, it was humid, fragrant, and utterly still. They were both breathing hard. Water dripped from Elara's hair. Maya saw the young woman she must have been in the sharp line of her jaw, the defiant set of her mouth. She also saw the woman she was now, more compelling, more real, than anyone Maya had ever known. "This is impossible," Maya breathed, not moving away. "It is," Elara agreed, her voice thick. "It's a betrayal wrapped in a transgression, tied with a bow of sheer madness. He doesn't own my heart. Or yours. No. But he owns our history. And he trusts us." Elara's hand came up, and this time, it didn't retreat. Her thumb traced the curve of Maya's cheekbone, a touch so tender it felt like a tear. "You are so bright, Maya. Like a comet, and I am a fixed point, an old, settled star. Our trajectories are all wrong." "Orbit," Maya corrected, leaning into the touch. "Comets can orbit stars." And then, in the steamy, sacred space of the greenhouse, with a storm raging as a witness, they kissed. It was not a gentle first kiss. It was desperate, years deep, tasting of rain, basil, and the salt of unshed tears. It was everything Maya had ever wanted and the one thing she could never, ever have. The aftermath was a quiet agony. They pulled apart, the weight of reality crashing down heavier than any storm. They made a pact: silence. For Robert, for the fragile ecosystem of their lives. But love, once named, is a poor prisoner. It escaped in lingering looks across crowded rooms at family barbecues, in coded messages about garden pests, in the shared, private grief of a beautiful, impossible thing. Robert, blissfully unaware, continued to speak of Elara as his dear friend, often praising Maya for being so kind to her. The breaking point came at the town's summer solstice festival. Robert, slightly tipsy on cider, slung an arm around both of them as fireworks bloomed in the sky. "My two favorite women in the world," he sighed, content. "Isn't this perfect?" Maya met Elara's eyes over his shoulder. In that reflected starlight, she saw the same exquisite torture. Perfect was a cage. The next morning, Maya went to the garden. Elara was already there, standing by the melancholy willow, its branches trailing in the pond. "I can't do this," Maya said, her voice raw. "I can't be his daughter and your secret. It's poisoning it. Poisoning us." Elara nodded, her profile a study in sorrow. "I know. I've loved you in every possible, impossible way, since the moment you smelled that basil. But some loves are like those heirloom tomatoes. Beautiful, rare, and too fragile for this world. They exist for a season, to remind us of flavor, of color. And then they're gone. So that's it? Maya's vision blurred. We just let it go. We let this go, Elara said, turning to her. She took Maya's hands. The secrecy, the guilt. It's a shadow over something that, for me, has been the most startling sunlight. She took a deep, shuddering breath. I need to tell him. Not to ask permission, but to end the deceit. Our story, whatever it is or isn't, deserves at least that honesty. Maya felt terror and a wild, unthinkable relief. He'll be devastated. He will. And he may never forgive either of us. But this is the only path back to ourselves. The confession, when it came, was not a grand confrontation. Elara asked Robert to walk with her in the garden she had built on the land she'd once planned to share with him. She spoke with a gentle, unshakable clarity. She spoke of Maya not as his daughter, but as a woman, brilliant, compassionate, and with whom she had fallen in love. Robert's world fractured. There were tears, of anger and betrayal. There was silence, that stretched for weeks. Maya moved out, staying in a rented room above the town's bookstore, the scent of old paper a poor substitute for basil and soil. Reconciliation was slow, born not of acceptance, but of the undeniable truth that he loved them both. He began, painfully, to see them not as extensions of himself, but as autonomous hearts. It was the hardest work of his life. Maya and Elara did not rush into each other's arms. They gave themselves time, and space, and the painful luxury of a clean slate. A year later, under that same willow tree, now a symbol of enduring growth rather than sorrow, Elara asked, "What does your heart want, Maya? Now that it's free to choose." Maya looked at this woman, her father's first love, her own great love. She saw the history that was not hers, and the future that could be. She saw a garden that had weathered many seasons. "It wants to build something," Maya said, lacing her fingers with Elara's. "Not on stolen ground, or in borrowed time. Something new. Something ours." And in the dappled light, they began again, not as a secret or a scandal, but as an echo of an old love song, rewritten in a braver, truer key. They built their love not in the shadow of a father, but in the sunlight of their own hard-won honesty, a delicate, resilient thing, finally planted in the right soil.